last night, but would not remain quiet for long. On a pitch up, there it goes. See you later. That's one of the longest home runs we've ever seen to that part of Nationals Park. The offense put up 5 more runs in the fourth, setting up Jordan Zimmerman for his league best 14th win. But nothing is easy this season, and the Giants kept fighting to the very end. Hence, left center, Denard Span, he's got it! The game is over! Denard Span's best play of the year as a new Washington National. Today, they look for a second consecutive sweep and season high 6th straight win. Lots of excitement here last night and throughout the last 5 games of this homestand. The Nats have righted the ship. They're going for a sweep today. Cal Ripken's in the house today. Some of his young players honored on the field before this one, visiting with our own Ryan Zimmerman. Bob and FP, feels good to be winning at home, doesn't it? So other than outscoring the other guys, which they've done by a pretty wide margin lately, what's working together to make this happen?
Well, offense and timely hitting, stuff that hasn't been consistent all season long. Obviously playing some pretty good defense. We showed a lot of great highlight plays last night. None better than the walk-off catch by Denard Span.
And lately, Dan Herron, he's starting to go 7 innings just about every time out. He's on his best roll since joining this ball club.
Yeah, check out the numbers. His last 3 starts. It started at home against the Mets. He went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 run, and 6 Ks. So he's been nice to the glove side, predominantly staying away from right-handers. The split has been splitty. Then he took the show to Milwaukee on August 3rd. 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 6 Ks. Same way, down and away to righties, getting the job done. Then last start, Philly at home on Friday, 9-2 win. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 7 Ks. So Dan Herron has been the Dan Herron that Mike Rizzo thought he was getting when he went out and signed him this offseason, the last 3 starts.
Keeping the ball down beautifully. Ryan Vogelsong just 2 and 4 in the year. Coming back still from that broken finger when Craig Stammen hit him with a pitch out in San Francisco back in May. Hitting everything these days, larger than life, Jason Worth. 6-game hitting streak, and in August still batting over .525. Couple of home runs, driving in runs. He's getting hits every way possible, and a huge presence right now for the Nats in the middle of a suddenly lively lineup. Baseball on Masson, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you, and by your local BMW Center. Absolutely gorgeous day here. It's been a great week for the Nats in more ways than one. Baseball weather, winning results, offense has come alive. Now they're trying to make it 6 in a row today. Train celebrating its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Hard to stop the Nats, and now they hope Dan Herron can keep up the recent pattern of good pitching. Giants are 4th in the league in batting average, but 14th in runs and in home runs. Pablo Sandoval has worn out the Nats over the last 3 years, having another good series. He's 4 out of 8 here with a couple of RBIs, and overall 5 for his last 10. Dan Herron and the Giants know each other well from his days with Arizona and Oakland. 15 starts, 16 games, 6-6 with a .314 against them career.
Yeah, last start was Friday in D.C. against the Phils. Got the 9-2 win, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits over 7 strong innings. Struck out 7, walked nobody. Had his 3rd straight win in as many starts through 97 pitches. So fastball, cutter, curveball split is what the Gigantes are going to see from Dan Herron today.
Yeah, ran that fastball right back over the outside corner. And now he's ahead 0-2. Nats at home have improved their record to 36-28. Giants having a struggle on the road this year at 21-36. Close enough on which to be hacking. Rendon takes care of that ground ball, and Marco Scutaro is now 1 for 6 in the series.
So the defense for the Nats behind Dan Herron today. Harper, Span, Worth your outfield. Desmond Zimmerman left side of the infield. Rendon LaRoche right side of the infield. And Kurt Suzuki back behind the dish.
Also with him back there, 26-year veteran, the crew chief Jim Joyce. You can hear him all over the ballpark when he calls a strike. Jeff Nelson, Jim Wolf, Mike Estabrook on the bases. Shortstop Brandon Crawford next for the Giants. Two for 9 in the series. One of the few San Francisco hitters who hasn't faced Dan Herron. He's on the attack with a fastball early, placing it well right there, 89.
I want to go 10 on style points for Brandon Crawford and the Orange Oakleys today.
I'm glad he can see out of him because we can't see in him. He's going to flare one left field line, and Bryce Harper can only play it on a hop, and Crawford has a base hit. Drew Storen is back. He actually started a game at Syracuse. Told me after he threw 40 pitches, he thought he was going to collapse out there. And we'll talk more about Drew later. Ryan Matthews was sent down. Rough night here last night. That's 9 multi-run innings in their last 6 games. Hadn't happened in quite a while. And the Giants, well, they've had pitching problems all year long. Their team ERA is 4.05. That is 4th from the bottom in the league. Stepping in, Brandon Belt, long home run here last night. He's had a walk, 2 RBIs, 3 hits in the series, and he's riding a 9-game hitting streak. Over that time, 14 hits and 34 at-bats. And he laces that one to center. This is easy compared to the last out last night. And Denard Span back to get it. Ian Desmond before today's game, actually after last night's game, we replayed his comments today. Said Denard Span on an everyday basis is the best center fielder he's seen.
Well, just the routes that he takes to the baseball. I mean, that ball last night was past him. It was over his head. And in my mind, it was 7-6 Giants. As soon as you saw the flight of that ball, the direction how it was hooking away from him, and the fact that where we're sitting, there was no way in the world he was catching up to that baseball. And he did, and I think that was what was so shocking about the play. You know, obviously at the end of the game and preserved the win, but from where we're sitting right behind home plate and where that ball was, he had zero business making that play. I'll show you right here. Last night, game on the line, Hunter Pence gets a slider from Soriano, drives it to left center, and I mean, look at the route. He's direct line to the baseball. The fact that he had presence to roll over and secure the ball to where there wasn't going to be impact on landing, to where that ball could shake loose, might be the best part about the play. And if you just hold that ball out, Carp, where you catch it and you hit the ground, your elbow's going to hit, the ball's going to come loose. But he took the baseball, rolled underneath it to where it was almost like his body was the shock absorber to keep the ball in the glove. Unreal.
Buster Posey, 3 for 9 in the series with a walk. Giants bats came alive in the last couple of innings last night. Nats had kept them quiet for a game and a half. Posey, 30 doubles, 6th in the league. And when he's going well, any runner on base is in scoring position. Just a little bit away.
The precision in which Heron has commanded the outer half to right-handers last 5-6 starts has been unbelievable.
Nibbling at the outside corner, not getting it from Jim Joyce right now.
And check out pitch track. Everything away to Posey, right? Just trying to nibble and shave that outside corner off.
Base hit. 85 miles an hour and a loud crack of the bat on that one. 2 on 2 out for San Francisco here in the first. Bringing in the hitter who was robbed by Denard Span last night, Hunter Pence.
Well, the Giants have had 3 games like that have ended this year. I think Will Venable made a play for the Padres to rob them of a win. Matt Kemp for the Dodgers made a play up against the wall in Dodger Stadium to rob them of a win, or a potential win, I should say, on the road. And then last night, Denard Span.
Hunter Pence takes one that cuts to the outside corner. Eighth in the league in hits, 9th in doubles, 10th in extra base hits, and Pence is on a 6-game hitting streak. He lives low in the zone. That one too low. Counts 2-1. 21 starts, 10 earned runs when he comes out of the bullpen to get going. Got a ZRA under 5 with that really good effort against the Phillies last week. 2 runs on 4 hits over 7. And with Pence backing out, that's ball 3 just off the edge. A man you don't want to face with the bases loaded, Pablo Sandoval. You know he'll step in, looking to do damage early in the count.
Well, both pitchers today, Ryan Vogelsong, Dan Heron, are guys that try to stay away from the plate, meaning they're trying to pitch to a corner, and they don't have the stuff to come right down Broadway. Not at this stage in both of their careers, and they're both guys that you're going to see all day long stay away predominantly to hitters.
3-2, runners about to be moving. And the bases are loaded. This is a dangerous matchup. Sandoval, first of all, career against Davey Johnson starter. A walk, 5 hits and 13 at bats. Sandoval's pretty consistent. Although the power, most of it from the left side, at least this year, 8 of his 9 home runs. But he's hitting .261 from both sides of the plate.
A tricky situation for Herron, obviously up against it here in the first, but even with the bases loaded, you don't have to throw Pablo Sandoval a strike. He's a guy that'll expand the zone for you.
Herron off the windup. Took a little bit off. 83 dropping nicely to the outside corner.
And just threw that split. 83 outside corner, got the strike.
Sandoval ripping and away out ahead. Nice crowd gathered for a 4:06 start and a 1-2 pitch. About 10 minutes later, a little bit outside.
Well, if you have confidence in that split, it's the pitch right now to Sandoval. He'll chase down with 2 strikes. You make it look like a strike, tease him, he'll chase. Only thing is, you better get it on the dirt because he's a good low ball hitter.
He will pop it up left side. Ryan Zimmerman over, but it fades out. No chance.
Yeah, throwing that split right here and having the confidence to bounce it are 2 different things. Kurt Suzuki obviously going to pick you up if you throw a ball in the dirt, but you got to get it down there.
This pop-up playable. Ryan Zimmerman right by the third base bag, and Buster Posey almost ran into him. So Herron a long first inning. He strands 3. Here come the Nats. So the Nats dodge a bullet. Long inning, 27 pitches for Dan Herron. Now let's see if the offense can hit a few bullets. They've been doing it lately. Lineup brought to you by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Anthony Rendon has hit safely in 10 of his last 11 games, and he's been on base in 13 consecutive with an on-base percentage of just under .350, and you can see he's also driving in some runs, whether he hits second, whether he hits seventh, and an already potent lineup has a lot of guys just chipping in. Ryan Vogelsong, second start since coming off the DL. 6 career games against the Nats as a Giant and a Pirate. He's 1-1 with a 5.17.
Now, last start was the first since he was hurt May 20th against the Nats when he swung at the Craig Stammen fastball, injured his throwing hand. Actually dislocated a joint in the pinky finger of his pitching hand. It was broken above and below his finger. Last start, he got the 5-2 loss, gave up 2 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings, struck out 4, walked 3, threw 103 pitches. So fastball, cutter, curveball change. And just like Dan Herron, he's a guy that has to keep the ball down and has to hit a spot. He'll pitch to a corner all day, mostly stay away from lefties with the 2-seamer and righties with the cutter.
Denard Span, 1 for 3 career against him, and 1 for 6 in this series, takes a strike. So Span steps in at 262. He's been on base 5 consecutive games with 6 hits and a couple of walks. Outfield to the left. Quite a bit over is Gregor Blanco, the center fielder. Really off speed. Span out ahead 0-2. That game that Vogelsong had was odd. Back in May on the 20th, he was 1-4 with an 8 ERA coming in, pitched 5 great innings against the Nats. So he did get the win that day. It was by far the best game of the year he was pitching when he got hurt.
Missed 69 games.
0-2. Well outside from the 36-year-old right-hander from Charlotte, North Carolina. It was originally drafted by the Giants in '98. After a couple of years, went to the Pirates in the Jason Schmidt trade. Pittsburgh for 5 years, pitched in Japan for 3 years. And then 14-9 for the Giants, one of the big finds of their World Championship season last year. Span trying to work the count full or get aboard here. He was 0-2. He'll serve it left side by Sandoval, but Crawford picks it up, and we've seen what a good shortstop he is during this series.
Well, you thought with a little slip to the backhand right there that might have given Denard Span another step to beat this, but we saw last night with Brandon Crawford, I don't know too many shortstops that get rid of the ball quicker, that transfer from the glove to the throwing hand as quick as Brandon Crawford. He had to play up the middle last night where he got rid of it quick. Nice play right there to start this game.
Another man who's been on base 5 games in a row steps in, Ryan Zimmerman. 2 for 7 with a walk and an RBI in this series. And he's had some success against Vogelsong, 3 for 5 with a run batted in. Limited schedule today. The Braves are off before the Nats go down there tonight. Only one other National League game in progress. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Home team on top 5-4 in the 7th. Zimmerman gets under that one. Blanco waving off his left fielder. First 2 outs for Vogelsong here in the first, with Harper coming in.
Well, let's go back to May 20th. Ryan Vogelsong at AT&T Park against the Nats. Craig Stammen, the pitcher, and I talked to him the other day, and he said, you know what, I was just betting fastball all the way. I saw fastball, committed to it, and had some kind of run on it. Got him in his pinky finger, and like I said, dislocated joint in the pinky finger. He broke that and had surgery at Stanford May 21st.
Yeah, that was an 0-1 count when they took him out. Now the Giants were in the process of winning an 8-0 game. It was already 5-0 when that happened. Their bullpen was able to take care of business the rest of the way. But he broke it one day and had it operated on the very next. Bryce Harper 1 for 4 against him.
Set the defense for the Giants today behind Vogelsong. Kishnik, Blanco, Pench, your outfield. Crawford, Sandoval left side, Scudero, Bell right side, and Buster Posey behind the plate.
And Bryce lays off the off speed. 82 outside. Been sitting on 99 RBIs for a number of days here.
For his career.
Yes. Now that would be a story if he had 99 in early August. Big breaking ball. Bryce's last RBI was an 8th inning base hit Friday night when the Nats were polishing off the Phillies 9-2. In this series, 1 for 4 with a walk. Didn't start on Tuesday night. Did pinch hit and got that walk. He's going to be out. Looked it all the way in. Jim Joyce called it strike 3. A 1-2-3 first for Ryan Vogelsong. Of a baseball stadium for a day game, this might be the one you'd shoot. It is absolutely perfect here. 79 degrees, clear skies. Second inning presented by Luna. Call for the Luna double. Get your second room of flooring free at 877-241-LUNA.
Beautiful day for a ball game.
Yep, and somebody needs to score first because it'll be tough for the hitters here in the next half hour. We had that 5 o'clock game on Sunday, and the 4 o'clock game today. Shadows from the light towers approaching the third base line. Right field, a sun field at this stage of an August afternoon. And Dan Herron goes to work with a fastball strike to Roger Kishnik, the rookie outfielder who went 1 for 4 with an RBI. Here come the shadows the hitters hate. We love to go inside the numbers with STG Inc. Last 6 starts, ERA way down, and 3 of his 7 wins recently. Look at that movement down and away to the left-hander.
Well, even more impressive in the ERA was the average against 198. So Dan Herron stingy with the base hits all of a sudden. You see the split right there. Nicely done under the bat of Kishnik.
Nissan on that pitch track. And a 1-2 close. Jim Joyce popped up quickly and then did not bring up the right arm. But Dan's been around the plate. He might get a couple of calls as we go along here that he didn't get in the first inning. And that's down low. And the tag by Suzuki, his first strikeout.
Well, the strikeout numbers for Herron have been up too recently. When you talk about what he's done the last Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starts, 7 strikeouts, 6 3 times, and then 7 last start, and it's all because of the split. Been doing a nice job with the cutter to a corner, but his out pitch has been a split.
Gregor Blanco, the center fielder, steps in. Two walks, 0 for 1 career against Herron, who's working quickly and very efficiently. And Dan's establishing a good rhythm off the windup here early in the game.
You just tell by the body language, more relaxed. You just look at his facial expressions, having more fun out there. Remember how serious he was early in the year. Kind of a reflection of the rest of the ball club early in the season, trying too hard, trying to impress his new fan base, his new teammates. That's what happens when you sign a big contract. And now all of a sudden maybe it got to a certain point with himself to where he said, you know, I'll just go out there and pitch. I'm not going to worry about carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders anymore. And maybe the same could be said for the ball club. He got swept by the Braves and now free and easy, not really worried about anything, playing really good ball.
No balls, 2 strikes. He made one of the season's most interesting quotes to Julie recently when he said, I figured I might have been a couple of starts away from being let go. Now, we didn't hear anything like that from the organization at all, but that was what Dan was thinking. He was so disappointed. And FP, you just want to feel like you're contributing to your ball club. You want to be one of the guys. He thought he had a running fastball for the inside corner strike there, and kind of shoulders slumped when he didn't get this call.
They ran it back. Good frame by Suzuki. You talk about making a borderline strike look like it was right down the middle.
Two balls, 2 strikes. He'll get Blanco to pull it. Rendon's over there, but it gets away from him. And then Anthony looked down at his glove. Thought he had it. The runner aboard, and that will be his 13th error of the year.
Hey, look at that ball got on a little quicker than he anticipated. The ball hit well off the bat of Gregor Blanco. Just went over there kind of stepping in the field. He watched the last step kind of go with his glove, and head probably moved a little bit. Thought he had it in his glove. Looked down like, can't believe I didn't catch that.
Here's Vogel's song now. 3 sacrifice bunts this year. 1 for 16 overall, and Herron will just toss it over to LaRoche. Blanco's a good base runner. He's their second best stealer. Pence has 18. He has 11. Giants are not a very good running team, but they've got 2 guys who can get it done, and he's often running. And this is a double play when Worth catches it and throws it on target to first. With the runner going, it's a 9-3 to end the inning. So Bruce Bochy rolled the dice with a swing away by his pitcher there, and the Nats get a quick end to the top of the second.
baseball. Let's take you back to that inning double play. Ryan Vogelsong, Bruce Bochy going hit and run right here. So Blanco with a jump, Vogelsong swings, and you're saying, well, yeah, I get it, FP. Why are you showing this again? Well, Jason Worth did a smart thing by throwing a long hop to Adam LaRoche. A lot of times the outfielder, you try to get macho right here and show off the gun. It's a throw you never practice making. So I can't tell you how many times I've seen a right fielder on a double play throw that ball into his own dugout. Worth, being the veteran guy that he is, gave LaRoche a nice long hop, something to handle for his 6th assist of the season and his 72nd of his career. Smart play.
Well, he hits, he catches, he throws guys out, he turns double plays. Oh, yeah. He's also hitting .528 in August. Slots, tables, and dining, the ultimate triple play. Hollywood Casino, Charlestown Races. So since 1921, back in the days of the great Raja, Rogers Hornsby, who was a multi-time batting champion, some of the greatest numbers ever put up by Jason Worth at this stage of a season. And we're not talking the 5th of August. We're halfway through the month. Vogelsong had that quick first inning, just 12 pitches. So Jason in this series, 3 for 8, 6-game hitting streak. 362 over his last 61 games, going back to the first week of June.
Coming in with the fastball. Better get it in there.
Yeah, missed his spot. It was away, and Worth took it that way.
Yeah, that's the gamble you take as a control pitcher like Ryan Vogelsong. I mean, got away with it right there, but anytime you come into a hot hitter, you have to get it in off the plate. And Jason Worth is a guy right now that is preying on mistakes. Jason Worth just stepped out because 2 pigeons decided to fly right behind Ryan Vogelsong.
Yeah, I think he was going to go to right center. When they crossed the gap, he shut it down. Must not be in pull mode. Well inside, counts even 2-2. Ryan Vogelsong, career record 39 and 42. He's worked a lot out of the bullpen in his career. 103rd start, 192nd appearance. Best years in the big leagues, the last 2 with the Giants, 13 and 7 and 14 and 9. Worth hits it up the middle.
Shocking.
A pigeon would have to be on the ground to affect that one. And Jason Worth is hitting over 330 now. Yadier Molina came off the disabled list today. He's hitting 330. Chris Johnson is hitting 337 FP. Worth is on the verge of having enough at bats to qualify for the batting title, and there's going to be a new name jump up way high on the tote board in a couple of days.
Absolutely. I told him the other day around the cage, I think he can win a batting title the way he's going right now with the approach he has, and there goes a no-hitter. And he's just getting 2 a day like he's playing beer league softball.
Here's Desmond. He's had a great series with 4 hits, a homer, and he's scored 3 runs. He shows bunt, and that got Pablo Sandoval on the move at third. Tape measure home run last night.
448, longest home run at Nats Park this year.
AT&T fact of the game, Ian Desmond. So 50 extra base hits in consecutive seasons, something Mike Lansing did for the Expos. 3 years in a row, 96, 7, and 8. He was one of those hackers who came out of Wichita State. They've always produced good hitters. That's on the corner. You played with the laser, didn't you?
I did. A lot of extra base hits on the turf up at the Big O. I mean, he hit a ball down the line there as a double. hit a ball in the gap. It was a double. You'd see guys hit a ball one step to the shortstop's left on the ground. The AstroTurf was so quick there for a triple on the ground.
Desmond bunts this ball in the air. Worth has to get back. That was a 1-1 pitch, and Ian Desmond tried to bunt after showing bunt on the first pitch of the at-bat.
Well, it looks bad because he made it out. If it was a base hit bunt, we'd be sitting up here saying, what a great idea by Ian Desmond. But I don't know that I've ever seen a team with guys with almost 20 home runs bunt as much as the Nats do.
Yeah, Harper's been known to do that. Adam LaRoche bunts about twice a year.
Well, I mean bunt for a hit, not sacrifice bunt. Right. That's a whole different story. But usually guys with that kind of thump aren't thinking about a base hit bunt. But like I said, he gets it down. We're up here going crazy.
LaRoche 0 for 3 career with an RBI against Ryan Vogelsong. They missed each other by a year in Pittsburgh of being teammates. Adams swinging the bat well. High strike. Counts 1-2. He's had 7 RBIs, 10 hits his last 10 games. 3 of those hits, home runs, 17 on the year. It's amazing. Harper, Worth, Desmond, LaRoche, all 17 homers.
When LaRoche gets hot, it's usually a couple home runs to the pull side. Then the league decides we can't challenge him in. They go away, and then he starts collecting hits to left field, and the average goes up.
That ball is cracked out to center, and to grab it, Gregor Blanco had to read it and then came forward. Can't hit a ball any harder or with a better sound than that. 2 outs.
There might have been a changeup right here from Vogelsong. 82 miles an hour. LaRoche right up the middle. And Blanco with a good jump. Jason Worth does a nice job of going as far as he can. Waiting to see if that drops. Nice swing.
That'll bring in Anthony Rendon, who's been on base in the series 4 times. 2 hits, 2 walks. He's driven in 2.
You see that cutter right there, 85, a lot like Dan Herron. He'll just stay away, trying to nip that front corner of the plate with it. One thing is, Jim Joyce has a very hitter-friendly strike zone so far in this game. Not really given the corner, especially outside the righties.
A little bit outside again. Good take by Anthony Rendon.
He's also the kind of umpire, Carp, that'll start to give you that if you're consistent with it throughout the game. Meaning if you show him that you're going to stay right on that corner and you're going to show consistency with it, he'll start to go with you and look for that strike. But early on, he wants you to show him.
Number 8 man, Kurt Suzuki, waiting, and he's had 2 RBIs in this series. Every day I look at the stat sheet when Kurt starts, and I write down his batting average, and it's like I can't believe it. I have to look 3 times. Because the way he swung the bat and made contact this year, he ought to be hitting like 260, 270.
If quality starts for a pitcher, if they had quality at-bats for Kurt Suzuki, he'd have a bunch. But he's just lined out a lot. He'll give you a good at-bat to where he's going to move a runner, score a runner, go deep into a count. There's
just no way this guy's a 220 hitter.
Because Jason Worth has taken all of his cheap hits.
He's taking everybody's.
Locked in right there, number 28.
Yep. Solid single to start this inning. He's been at first base since he led off. And a 2-2 to Suzuki, or rather to Rendon, and he'll pull it. That's got a chance to get to the wall. Ball comes bouncing off the wall. Trent Jewett will hold him, and that's a good call by Trent because Crawford had the ball in his hands just as Worth had circled beyond the bag. Good swing by Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, so far this game, Ryan Vogelsong maybe a little bit rusty with all the games he missed, but he's elevated pitches, and he's gotten away with a few mistakes. Not this time to Rendon. You see where the ball is, belt high, nice swing, pulling the hands in, getting the barrel to the baseball, and the only question was not if it was going to drop, but was Jason Worth going to score. Nicely played out there by Kieschnick, hit the cutoff man right in the head, and Brandon Belt, like you said, Carp, great arm. Can't try him, and now it's up to Dan Herron because they're going to walk Suzuki.
And Dan Herron can swing the bat. He has 29 career RBIs. Southern Nats will have the bases loaded here in the second.
You know, and all those things we were just saying about Kurt, on top of that, hitting eighth, and then having to expand your zone sometimes to try to drive in a run where maybe if you're hitting sixth or seventh or even fifth, you can take a walk. So there's more to it than just the batting average when you watch Kurt Suzuki play.
Well, here's a number for a couple of guys who hit eighth on a regular basis. Ramos and Suzuki have 51 RBIs combined this year. There is nothing at all wrong with that. I mean, as great as he is, Buster Posey has 61. So the Nats have gotten great production out of their catchers at the bottom of the order when it comes to getting runs in. Dan Herron has 7 hits, 2 RBIs this year. That's the most base hits on the pitching staff by 1 over Jordan Zimmerman. He also leads the staff with those 2 runs batted in.
Not an easy out by any means.
And with the first shadows reaching the batter's box, this would be a great time to get on top in this one.
Not bad. 3 for 12 career, bases loaded. 10 RBI.
Generous call, strike 2. Mercedes-Benz will give us a look.
A little bit outside, good frame by Posey. I told you about Joyce. If you stay out there, he'll start to go out there with you.
Posey out a little farther.
I mean, Dan Herron's strength is going the other way. And Vogelsong and Posey kind of pitching to it right here.
And a 1-2 by him. Nats get their first 2 hits. Worth and Rendon. They lead 3 runners, no score. On to the third.
and Roger Bernardina's catch, both to end games. I thought maybe Bernardina's a little bit bigger in the sense that the game is over right here. You're on the road, right? Houston's the home team, so if he doesn't make this, there's runners all over. They score. Nats lose this game. Bernardina catching the ball into nowhere. And then last night, the only difference maybe is that you'll still have another at-bat, but both amazing game-ending catches. And Denard Span, Roger Bernardina, very similar styles. The only difference is you could see Denard Span once he made the catch. Roger Bernardina disappeared.
Brett Wallace of Houston, Hunter Pence, who used to be with Houston, now the Giants. The guy's robbed. And by the way, a footnote on the Bernardina catch, that was the bottom of the 12th inning. The Nats won that game 3-2.
Well, I think, I may be mistaken, that game was the birth of the Shark, meaning when Michael Morse came out of the dugout doing the Shark sign, that's when Nats fans started to do it at the ballpark right after that.
Morse, by the way, had scored the winning run in the top of the 13th. And Tyler Clippard got his 23rd save that night. He was closing. That was crazy in Houston and wonderful last night. Dan Herron starts off the third inning with a slider to Marco Scutaro for a strike. Scutaro bounced out to Rendon first time up. He's 3 for 15 career against Herron, but he's hit a home run against him. That's way outside. '37-year-old Marco Scutaro. With 500 in the LCS last year. 4 more hits, 3 RBIs in the World Series for the Giants. After he hit 362 coming over from the Rockies.
Like a scene out of a movie when they clinched against the Cardinals in the LCS last year. It started to rain at AT&T Park, and Marco Scutaro, after the last out, just kind of put both hands out to the side, looked up to the heavens as it was pouring on him, and I couldn't believe they finished the game. There was standing water on the infield. The Giants celebrated, went on to win the World Series.
And the Giants traded for him to play third base because Pablo Sandoval was on the DL. Turned out to be maybe the July pickup of the year. 3-2 pitch. Scutaro will shoot it to right, and Jason Worth is right there. Crawford and Belt the next 2. Sammy Hagar is 14 days away. 2 weeks from tonight. Southeast will be rocking after the 7:05 game against the Marlins. Game tickets start at $10. Nationals.com/Nats Live. You must have a valid game ticket that says August 29.
And a valid mullet wig, too. I'm going out and getting one. Tie a bandana around it, be in the front row. Checking out the Red Rocker.
Gonna rent a Harley for the evening?
No.
Oh, that's right. You walk.
Go out and buy an orange Ford Pinto.
Brandon Crawford fooled on that. That thing really dove down and in. Swinging at a pitch that looked like it was labeled for his back knee.
Cutter right here from Herron. Check this out. Just getting on the outside of it. Maybe more of a slider than a cutter as you watch kind of his wrist rotate on release. Great pitch nonetheless.
Brandon Crawford blooped one down the left field line for a base hit first time. Giants had 2 hits and a walk and stranded 3 in the first. Herron's been good, very efficient since then. Brandon Belt, wide to center first time.
His nickname in San Francisco, the Baby Giraffe. I don't see it. Maybe the most obvious nickname ever.
You know, I followed the Giants team bus in today, and I saw some guy looking out the top of the bus. Must have been him. There's a great manager, Bruce Bochy, suffering through a very tough year.
Yeah, he's been in 2 parades the last 3 seasons. Nobody's feeling sorry for Bruce Bochy. But like you said, it's what have you done for me lately, right?
Well, what's your theory on what's missing from the Giants that was being done by them this time last year?
I just think they're tired. We talk about playing into late October for 2 of the last 3 years and how much intensity that takes pitch by pitch from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint. How a pitcher in the postseason, even with nobody on, is pitching like it's bases loaded, nobody out.
Because the personnel's not that much different.
And there's probably a little bit of fat cat in there too when you win a couple of World Series. But I think the bottom line is I don't think it's hard to realize what kind of effort that takes to play into late October and that intense of a brand of baseball that they've played in 2010 and 2012. He'll take it out of anybody.
Swing and a miss on a pitch in. Suzuki looked at him and said, "That's what I'm talking about." Second strikeout for Dan Herron.
Going in right here, 86 miles an hour. Looks like the cutter again under the hands of Brandon Crawford to get the strikeout. You see that late action on the cutter, looking like a straight fastball. Go to swing. It's not there. It's on your hands.
Yeah, that one over the bat as opposed to the earlier one that just dove like crazy. Dan Herron really mixing things up here. Pretty good looking breaking ball. Didn't get the call to Brandon Belt, who's riding a 9-game hitting streak with 14 hits.
And on top of that, Carp, all the postseason things I just said, the Giants were a team that won games 3-2, 2-1, 1-0 every single night during the regular season. So you talk about grinding out regular season games on top of postseason games, on top of playing into late October for 2 years. It's going to take a toll.
And a chopper. Dan Herron cuts it off, making it a simple play. 1, 2, 3 for him. He's faced 6 hitters the last 2 scoreless innings.
With 16 daily departures between D.C. and New York. Look now at Amtrak.com. Now with daily departures to Hawaii. Just kidding.
That
No
would be
scores.
all right.
We go to the bottom of the third. Jason Worth doing his thing. Ryan Vogelsong doing his thing. A couple opportunities with the bases loaded. First for the Giants. In the first inning, Pablo Sandoval pops up on a split from Dan Herron. Actually got away with one. Buster Posey and Ryan Zimmerman get to know each other at third base. Almost got their feet tangled. Then Dan Herron with the bases loaded opportunity strikes out against his counterpart.
Visit Kia.com. Learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. And they bring us our do-ups with career numbers in this ballpark. Denard Span, 300 at home. Ryan Zimmerman on a much larger sample size, just under 300. And then Harper to follow. And Denard Span just rifles one right up the middle. Second straight inning when the Nats get a leadoff single. And they almost did it 3 times in a row, but Crawford took a hit away from Span back in the first.
We talked about how he's standing more upright, and it allows him just to pound down on the ball. Look at the backspin created right there by Span. Look out, Ryan Vogelsong. I mean, more upright over the top of the baseball to where he's not crouched down coming around it. And it was hit so hard that Gregor Blanco almost had a little trouble handling that ball all the way out in center field. Nice swing.
Ryan Zimmerman flied to center first time. Giants pitchers haven't given Buster Posey a whole lot of help this year. He's a good defensive catcher, but he's only been able to throw out 19%, 12 out of 64. Span with a good lead, holding. Strike 2, really working that outside corner.
And 41 pitches. Look at all the off speed from Vogelsong, 62%. Right-handers coming in to today's game hitting 352 off Vogelsong, 37 for 105. Seems to me like he's more comfortable with the fastball away to lefties than the cutter away to righties.
Zimmerman gets jammed, but Ryan fouls it off.
Looking like he's seeing Vogelsong pretty good, getting some good rips.
Denard 10 for 15 this year. It's been a while since he has swiped a base. Team leader Desmond with 16. Nats as a ball club, 56 steals, 9th out of 15 teams. Zimmerman on that slow breaking ball, able to foul it off. Nice smother of that off-speed pitch by Buster Posey.
It's going to go fashion police the whole series. Those may be the best batting gloves on the planet. Check it out. With the Stars and Stripes unis. Stars and Stripes on the batting gloves. Those are good. But Ryan Zimmerman's got the Garanimals going. He's got the matching gloves with the uni.
Target away. Great battle now for Ryan Zimmerman, who's been behind in the count this whole time.
You just get the feeling like he's due to run into one. Had some really good swings here, especially first time up. Hit it a little bit too high, got all of it to deep center field. It just got under it. Had some healthy rips in this at bat too.
So this at bat will go at least 9 pitches.
Good count to run on if you're Span. 2-2. Usually an off-speed pitch.
He's going. Zimmerman takes it outside. Double pump by Buster Posey, and no contest at second base. Number 11 for Span.
Pretty good jump. Posey might have had a chance had he not double pumped. Span with no look back. But Posey had trouble on the exchange right there. 2 pumps and you're safe.
Now Zimmerman's runners in scoring position number comes into focus, leading the Nats at 325. And Span, with nobody anywhere near the bag defensively, able to take a big lead that forced a step off.
Marco Scruto moves right behind Denard Span. Heads up right here. He's just walking in for the pickoff. He'll get back to his position. He's just trying to let Span know where he's at. Hustle back there as soon as he comes set. There he goes.
What a great at bat by Ryan Zimmerman. Behind 0-2, 1-2, fouled off a bunch of pitches. 2 on, nobody out.
0-2 walk. See them big.
Pitch at bat. So Bryce Harper from the on-deck circle has seen everything now that Vogelsong has. And a big spot for Bryce here. Still early in a ball game when you're trying to sweep and head on to Atlanta with a bunch of momentum. And by the way, tomorrow night, Alex Wood, Taylor Jordan. Harper on the attack. It's out of play left side. Okay, buddy. Rooting for the Giants. Nice catch.
Confused couple.
Thanks for spending your money in our ballpark. It's on the corner. Harper was caught looking on a pitch out there first time up.
That's just an anti-dive pitch right there. And what I mean by that is if you have a guy that's predominantly throwing you away, you'll dive out there as a hitter to try drive it the other way. And oftentimes a pitcher will stand you up on the inner half to keep you from maybe thinking about jumping out there in the outer half and driving the ball the opposite way.
Well, that was off speed and he left it up a bit.
And he'll try to backdoor that cutter with 2 strikes. And go between 85 and 87. He'll try to do to Harper right there, and you see Bryce with the top hand on the bat only. He's telling himself be more direct to the baseball with your top hand. Right down to it.
Zimmerman and Harper grinding out some at-bats here in the 3rd inning.
That's kind of what they've been doing since Philadelphia came to town, right? Talk about putting at-bats on somebody.
Rick Schu's got to like what he's seeing. His leadoff man's aboard, stole a base. Then number 2 man Zimmerman drew a walk on pitch number 10. Harper serving it out of play to the other side. Bryce not trying to do too much with the away stuff Vogelsong's giving him right now. He had Bryce reaching and lunging most of that at bat. It's a key strikeout for the Giants. Vogelsong's third of the day.
Let's check out the sequence between Vogelsong and Bryce Harper right here. And predominantly away. You can show him something on the inner half here in a second. But first pitch, change up away to a cutter, maybe fastball away. But velocity's dropped for Vogelsong here in the third. Those pitches at 85, I believe, are cutters. That's a curveball at 75, and then change up at 79. Then drops another curveball at 75 for strike 3.
Worth solid single up the middle first time. Scutaro right behind the runner Span. And Jason took a shot on the first pitch, missing 88.
331.
That's second in the league right now. If he has the at-bats to qualify, which he soon will.
I really swung around to the right side in the outfield. Left center field's 2 runs. And Ryan Vogelsong all of a sudden becoming obsessed with Denard Span.
You have noticed lefty or righty. The Giants with their center fielder have played the center fielder away on everybody in the Nats lineup.
He's probably going to work him that side of the plate, but that doesn't mean Worth can't jump out there and hit a mistake in left center.
Inside the numbers with STGA. On base percentage plus slugging in those last 61 games, third best in baseball. Anytime you're anywhere up in the 900 to 1.0 range, that's impressive.
Anytime you're within 2 of Miguel Cabrera in anything, it's impressive.
It's interesting over there in the American League. Cabrera trying for another triple crown. 6 home runs behind Chris Davis, who's ahead of him in home runs and right behind him in RBIs, but way behind him in batting average.
Cabrera 114. Davis 112.
1-2 to Worth, and that ball is flied down the right field line into foul ground and unreachable for Hunter Pence. Nats have some single game tickets that start as low as just $10. And remaining on the home schedule now, the Marlins, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. So it's all about the East when the guys come back home. That's in August and September. Nationals.com/tickets. East Central, AL Central on this next road trip. Atlanta, Cubs, Kansas City. There's Scutaro behind the runner, and he made a remarkable reach to keep that ball out of center field.
Combination of things going on right now between Vogelsong and Span at second base. Number 1, yeah, he doesn't want to steal third, but number 2, he also knows that he has one of the hottest hitters in the planet up, and if he can find an out somewhere else besides home plate, he's going to go for it.
Now Worth will step out. Worth on an off-speed pitch, slow roller. Crawford to Scudero. Worth able to beat the relay. So the inning's still alive with first and third, 2 outs.
Check out Ian Desmond last night. 17th home run of the year. I think it was a split from Tim Lincecum. It was up, led her high, and watch him just tomahawk this thing out of the ballpark. 448 feet, the longest home run at Nats Park this year. We talk about getting some serious torque and some serious extension on the swing. Goodness. Yeah, he hit that one all the way back to Berkeley.
Absolutely killed it for a 17th of the year. And Desmond swinging to make it 3-0 right there. Tried to butt his way aboard first time up, and he popped it up to the pitcher. Vogelsong working slowly throughout this inning. One span led off and got on. That's on the outside edge, and the count's 1-2. Nats have him up to 63 pitches now with 2 outs in the third. Worth on the move. Posey, a fake throw. Nats have their second stolen base of the inning. And for Jason Worth, continues to be perfect, 6 for 6.
Yeah, Worth goes, he makes it. That simple. Very smart base runner, always picks a good pitch. Look at the jump. I mean, he left a click before Vogelsong even started. Posey with a pump fake, trying to get Denard Span to bite at third. Fish ain't biting.
Well, you never know when a little chopper up the middle, no force play at second, might get you a run. Desmond on 2-2 now. And he will jack this one to the gap in left center. That's more than a run. Ian Desmond, 33rd double of the year. 52nd extra base hit. The Nats lead 2-0.
I mean, that's what's been missing, right? The clutch hitting with runners in scoring position, the 2-out knocks. Nats offense have been thirsty for these knocks all season long. They're like gold, and Ian Desmond comes up big. Shopping at the gap, 52nd extra base hit of the year, and that's a guy that does not like to stop at first. Putting the Nats up 2-0.
I mean, he has a chance for 45 to 50 doubles this year. 70 or more extra base hits. So here's Adam LaRoche. He hit the ball hard first time, lined out to center. Shortstop playing behind Desmond on the shift. Desmond, by the way, 57 RBIs now. So he's the Nats Triple Crown guy when you talk about steals, homers, and RBIs. Mr. Posey complaining about something in his line of sight out in center field. Not sure what it was. And a breaking ball that he has to smother. Ball 1. Pardon me. 2-0.
Oh, protection right here with a Rendon double. First time up. I mean, yeah, you got a base, and yeah, there's 2 outs, but the guy on deck Hit the ball hard first time up. But he is looking like he wants nothing to do with the Nats first baseman.
And LaRoche on 3-0 is going to drop one to left. That's an RBI hit. The Nationals lead 3-0. So LaRoche said, if I see anything near the plate, I'm hacking, and that's his 54th RBI. 3 2-out runs here.
Well, it said it first time up. When he goes home run to pull side, generally the league starts to go the other side of the plate to LaRoche, and he starts collecting hits the other way. First time up, lined out with a bullet to straightaway center. And this time up, in a 3-0 count, drops one into left field for another 2-out knock to make this 3-0.
3 hits, a walk, 2 steals in the inning. And here's Rendon.
And the ambush steal is definitely in effect right now for Adam LaRoche. I just don't know how long it can be called an ambush anymore when he's been doing it all season long, usually in a 2-strike count.
Guillermo Moscoso up for the Giants. And that's a strike, and it's 0-2 to Rendon.
All right, he's going right here. Watch. Calling it.
Liable to be an off-speed pitch. Maybe in the dirt. Maybe tough for Posey to handle.
All right, right here.
You know what? I think LaRoche is out thinking you because he's saying FP just told everybody in the league I'm going on 0-2.
He's trying. Watch. See? He just went too soon.
Yeah, and then Vogelsong froze.
See, but now the gig is off. Because if it's a ball, it's 3-2. That was the count to go. We'll see if he tries it again. He just got too good a jump right there. Didn't trust it. Hit the brakes.
Rendon on 2-2. Way outside. We're talking about 37 pitches this inning. Kurt Suzuki was walked intentionally last inning before they struck out Dan Herron with the bases loaded. Now the Nats have popped right back up with 3 in the 3rd. LaRoche running. Rendon fouls it.
Well, Vogelsong's just rusty. I mean, you can't miss 69 games, just come back and be the dominant pitcher that you were the last 2 seasons. The game just doesn't work like that. He's trying to figure it out.
Started this inning with 37 pitches in 2 innings. Rendon will pop it up right side. Brandon Belt into foul ground. Long inning for Vogelsong. Good inning for the Nats. RBIs 2 by Desmond, 1 by LaRoche. 3-0. On a beautiful day. 3-0 home team. Gavin DeGraw's coming Saturday, August 31st. It's a night game with the Mets. Game tickets start at $10. Nationals.com/Nats Live. And your ticket must say August 31st for you to listen to and enjoy Gavin DeGraw on the field after the game.
Probably a little younger crowd in the Sammy Hagar concert, I'm just calling.
A little more docile, maybe?
No. It's a different generation.
Buster Posey. Watching Dan Heron's first pitch in about a half hour, it seems.
Yeah, he went out to 5 guys, got a couple burgers, came back, ready to go.
He's retired 6 of the last 7. Only man he didn't retire reached on an error, erased him on a double play. And a 1-1 to Posey, who drills it out to right center. Denard Span moving back with it. We've seen a lot of great center fielders over the year. That guy has as good a first step as anybody. It's on to Atlanta. 7:30 tomorrow night. Taylor Jordan and Alex Wood. 7 o'clock Saturday. Steven Strasburg and Mike Minor. And at 1:30 on Sunday, Gio and Julio Teheran. And then the Nats go to Chicago. And strangely enough, in a 4-game series in Chicago, we're going to play them at night 3 times. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a day game a week from today before it's on to Kansas City. Hunter Pence out to center.
Put it in your pocket. I mean, right?
This was a can of corn compared to last night.
Can of corn. I mean, the routes are so direct. The jumps are so good. He's able to turn it on, turn it off, meaning he's got that extra gear when a ball's by him to go get it, almost like a defensive back with makeup speed once they get burned. But he doesn't get burned too often because I think it's just as simple as he's ready for the baseball every single pitch. The mind does not wander out there. He is anticipating the ball.
Ball 1 to Pablo Sandoval, biggest out of the game for Dan Heron. Things could have gotten out of hand in the first inning. Sandoval batted with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and fouled out to Zimmerman. Huge out because Heron was in the process of throwing his 27th pitch in that first frame. Got out of that. Things have gone well for him and his teammates since. Pulls it. Adam LaRoche right there. And a 1-2-3. Top of the 4th for Dan Heron, who's continuing his very good ways.
It's hard to get through the game.
Wow.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Kind of looks like some of the party primaries we've seen the last few times around. Way too many guys going for one spot. And then Abe will race away with the Geico President's Race. Wow. Little high stepping at the end for number 16. To the bottom of the fourth, Suzuki, Herron, and Span. As Ryan Vogelsong's getting ready to deliver his 77th pitch of the day. Suzuki walked intentionally first time. The first base open in the second. Right ahead of the strikeout of Dan Herron. This ball is hit well the other way. Kurt Suzuki 2 for 5 in this series. On base 3 times, and he's driven in 2 runs. What a great spot that is. You've got the lead. Your pitcher can walk in and bunt and maybe get himself right back into the dugout advancing a runner.
Verizon Fios on the X-Mo, the Kurt Suzuki line drive swing. And did I hear the ballpark chanting Zook right there when he got to first? That was pretty cool. Everybody in unison kind of giving it the Zook call, and I like that.
Herron lays down a perfect bunt. 3-4, Belt to Scudero. And by the way, on the heels of that X-Mo, you can sign up for a Verizon Fios triple play online. It's only $89.99 a month, a 2-year agreement. Required, you get a choice of a $300 Visa prepaid card or a $300 Amazon.com gift card. Sweet way to push a 4th run into scoring position. They pinch in at the corners for Denard Span, who's 1 for 2 with a single, steal, and a run scored.
You know, it's kind of getting back to his catch last night. The obvious is it saved the game. But if you're in the first base dugout and part of that ball club, all of a sudden you start thinking, things are changing. Our luck is changing. We're not snake bit anymore. Breaks are going our way. A month and a half ago, that ball falls, we lose that game. And now collectively, you have a dugout maybe thinking, okay, let's do this. Let's make a little run and see what happens. Changes the attitude, because as we've shown this year, baseball players are very, very superstitious.
Mercedes-Benz will track strike 2.
And shaving that outer corner, just catching it for strike 2. Denard Span looks back at Jim Joyce and says, yeah, that was a good pitch.
Pitcher in the shadows. Little sun around the batter's box. Outfield bathed in sunshine here. And Span takes a breaking ball and stays alive, and the count's 2-2. That is Jose Mijares for the Giants. Little bit up, 3-2. Ryan Zimmerman, 10 pitch at bat, walked last time. That really kind of set the tone for Vogelsong in that long third inning he had.
Well, they've been putting some at-bats on some pitchers this whole homestand.
That ball's pulled hard to the right side. Good play, Marco Scutaro. And then hustling Span out by a step or so. Over to third base, Suzuki, 2 outs.
But you mentioned Zimmerman last time, Carp. He had a 10-pitch at-bat. Then Harper, even though he didn't get it done like he wanted to, struck out. He had a 7-pitch at-bat. You watch Scutaro make a nice sliding play. Then Worth came up with a 6-pitch at-bat. Rendon ended the inning with a 7-pitch at-bat. So it goes back to initially what I've been talking about, game plan hitting. You're looking for one pitch, you're hunting that pitch. If it ain't there, you don't swing.
Catcher was set up away. Rick Shue watching Ryan Zimmerman from the first base dugout. Ryan figured, no way I'm going to see something down the middle on the first pitch, and then 77 came floating in there. You can look at the center fielder and tell where Vogelsong's going to pitch everybody.
Or try to.
Yep. That's where he's been living out there when he does get the strikes. Gregor Blanco just shifting back and forth from side to side based on right-hander or lefty, always playing them away. And Ryan spotting that one on its way outside. He's battled back to get this count even. Suzuki still at third with 2 outs. Way outside.
Drew a 0-2 walk last time, and I believe 0-2 to a 3-2 here again.
One hitter he's handled, Vogelsong has, Harper. A couple of strikeouts today. One looking, one swinging. Bryce eager to get back in there. He will. Another great at bat by Ryan Zimmerman, who's been on base 5 times in this series, 3 walks.
But he's just a scrappy number 2 hitter now.
Yeah, seemingly embracing that role. Take 2, try to go to right. Bruce Bochy to the mound. And that is it for Ryan Vogelsong after 3 2/3. And as FP mentioned, still shaking off the rust. Out nearly 70 games, only his second start coming back. This call to the bullpen package by the UPS Store. We love logistics.
pitches. Let's go back to the third inning. And Ryan Zimmerman, an 0-2 count, works it to a 3-2 count, 10-pitch walk. Then Bryce Harper, even though he struck out, a 7-pitch battle with Ryan Vogelsong. And Ian Desmond, 4-pitch double, but he does some damage on the pitch he likes. So even for Ian Desmond, 4 pitches a lot. And then Adam LaRoche, a 4-pitch base hit for a 2-out RBI. And then Anthony Rendon to end the inning with a 7-pitch at-bat. So not just that inning. It seems like it's been predominantly this whole homestand where guys are getting into counts, looking for a pitch, and more times than not, getting the job done.
Jose Mijares, left-hander. Second appearance of the series. And that fastball is outside. Facing Bryce Harper for the 4th time career. Bryce 0 for 3 against him. That ball hit well to left, but right at Roger Kieschnick. The Nats will strand a couple. Swinging the bats well, though. They've left 6, but lead 3-0. Action-packed day at the ballpark. Nats on top 3-0. 5th inning coming. PNC Bank for the Achiever in You brings us our minor league report. And we're focusing in on Nick Lee, left-handed pitcher, 22 years of age. Struck out 10 over 8 innings last night. Hagerstown blanking the Delmarva Shorebirds 5-0. Well done by him. 18th rounder from 2011 out of Weatherford Junior College in Texas. Jimmy Gonzalez signed him for the Nats, and Nick Lee, his 3rd professional season, going well.
Call him up. He's ready.
Roger Kieschnick. Breaking ball from Dan Herron, keeping the ball down. Kieschnick struck out first time. Ball 3. Bottom 3, Kieschnick, Blanco. And the Giants do have a pitcher throwing, so they could hit for Mijares.
Well, you're up 3-0. You won the first 2 games of the series. You're thinking, well, feeling pretty good about yourself. But as you saw last night, the Giants aren't going to go away.
Guillermo Moscoso. Ball hooking. Look out. First throw right into the corner there. And it's a tough corner down there. Fans looking right into the sun at this stage of the day. Great crowd, great day. Third base side shaded. First base side sun soaked. And a 3-2 again to Kieschnick. And misses way upstairs, not happy with himself. He had retired 9 of the last 10 Giants. That'll be his second walk of the day. So whether you like shade or sun, well, how about the red porch or the red loft or a suite? Bring your group out to Nationals Park. Group tickets great for all kinds of group gatherings. Bigger the group, the bigger the savings. Group opportunities available at nationals.com/GROUPS. Ball slapped to Desmond. Rifles. And LaRoche looked like he might have lost sight of that ball. I don't know if that throw was right into the runner or what.
I think Kieschnick might have got back into LaRoche's glove.
And they're going to give him all the way to third base. You know, I'm not sure about that. Don't you usually get the base you're heading to +1? He was heading back to first. But it's a 2-base error on Desmond.
I think Kieschnick gets in LaRoche's line of view. And Desmond had him right here with that arm. It just, I think it was to the other side of the bag. LaRoche set up on the inside. It was to the right field side, and he couldn't cross because of the runner.
Pinch hitter is first baseman Brett Pill. He pinch hit last night, lined out. And flied out in the pinch hitting appearance on Monday. So the Giants getting a bit of a break, get a runner to first base with 1 out.
I don't think Desmond really had any choice. He had to get rid of that ball quick with something on it to complete the double play. I don't think it was a bad gamble at all. Just unfortunate that LaRoche couldn't adjust because of Kieschnick getting in the way. And now Herron needs a strikeout.
Top of the order coming up for the Giants with Marco Scutaro. And Herron misses away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cutting action. Ball 3.
If you're Brett Pill, just trying to put the ball in play. Davey Johnson conceding the run. Infield's back.
He's 1 for 12 as a pinch hitter with an RBI, and now he's 1 for 13. Dan Herron gets the inside corner right under his hands.
Well, 85 miles an hour right here from Herron, and look at the sequence. Everything away, then 3-2 goes to the inside to get strike 3. So everything in a sequence on the outer half. This looks like a cutter that starts on the inner half and runs back, gets plate for a called third look, and great pitch.
Yeah, Dan Herron, 2 great pitches today. Scutaro in the first and Pill right here in the 5th. And then Worth puts it away, and the Nats are out of the inning. Dan Herron, 12 of his last 14 retired. AFCEA, the Association for Global Security Professionals. And Julie, both of us, a lot of us in the clubhouse today, welcomed Drew Storen back to D.C., and you spent some time with him.
That's right. Yeah, what a surprise. Drew Storen in the Nats clubhouse today after 3 weeks of working out at AAA Syracuse. He said he's so excited to be back here. It's the call he was waiting for. He can't wait to rejoin the team and help him out. He loves what he's been seeing from this team, specifically in the past 5 games. He's sporting a new look. He got himself a buzz cut, shaved off all his head, said it was time to turn the page. He's also going to be walking out to a brand new song by the Black Keys. Davey Johnson likes what he's seen as far as the improvements that Drew's been able to work on in AAA. He said he's quicker to the plate. His arm slot is in a better position. Breaking ball is tighter. Drew's whole mental approach is so much better. Of course, nobody more happy to have him back than his best friend and former roommate Tyler Clippard, who texted Drew when he heard the news. He said, "Guess who's back?" Drew Storen texted him back, "Your high fastball?"
Wow. This is Guillermo Moscoso. Well, that's great. Friends getting on each other. And more on Drew when we see him, but just a quick note. He was on a program at Syracuse where he would just pitch every so often, every few days. So some of that was middle relief. Some of it was setup. He didn't do any closing. He even started one game. And he said he kept turning around and seeing the scoreboard tracking his pitch count. He said, "I'm not going to make it to 40 pitches. They got him out of there after 40, but he said he has a new appreciation for the guys who have to go out and do that." Good to have Drew back, and we wish Ryan Matthews well. Hopefully gets his command back and brings that great sinker back up here in about, 2 weeks or so? And the rosters expand in September.
Well, Drew Storen, you've had so much success so quick in your career, and you've never really had to deal with adversity or failure. I don't think it was the worst thing in the world that he went back to AAA. Sometimes you have to fail to succeed and realize how good you had it and work things out. Said today feels like opening day to him.
Kicking his feet up, back in the big leagues. Jason Worth 1 for 2, single, fielder's choice grounder, stolen base, and a run scored. 7-game hitting streak, 13 for his last 25. This one heading for the gap and deep to the scoreboard. He's done it again. A fly ball off the board, just to the left of the 375 mark. And Jason Worth is simply unbelievable these days with the bat.
Who's better than he is? I mean, right now, right here, as we speak, quite possibly the hottest hitter in baseball. Just another lousy 2-hit game for Jason Worth. and get something elevated out over the plate, and this is what he's been doing. We joke that he's been getting hits in all shapes and sizes, but the most important thing for him is he's been going the other way and not just serving the ball to right field. He's been hitting homers, doubles, hitting the ball with authority wherever it's pitched. He's done a really good job of going the other way.
Ian Desmond is 3 for 3 career against Moscoso, including a base hit here Monday night prior to the LaRoche home run. That was a big blow in that 4-2 game. And Ian today 1 for 2 with a 2-run double to the gap in left center. The big blow of this one put the Nats up 2-0 before LaRoche drove him home with a left field flare right after that. Scudero getting there, but Worth back in plenty of time with nobody out. Long look. 93 past Ian Desmond, 0-2. Right now Ian Desmond's tied for second in the league in doubles with Jay Bruce, 33. He's tied for fourth in extra base hits now with his double today. And Adam LaRoche has chipped in with his 11th hit in his last 11 games with 8 RBIs. Time requested by the hitter as Crawford was on the move at short and Worth was on the move off the bag, and all of that within the sights of Ian Desmond.
Giants are the most concerned with runners at second of any team I've seen come through here this year.
Delayed call. Desmond caught looking on a ball near the outside corner. Nissan will track it. How good was it?
Let's check it out. Fastball might have caught the corner. Good frame by Posey. Presented it well to Jim Joyce, and Desmond shaking his head, thought it was outside. You know, everybody wondering about Tuesday's little scuffle between Jason Worth and Gio Gonzalez and how it was going to affect the ball club, and we talked about how we liked the fact that they had spark and they hadn't given up, and you like to see that from your team. And I think when you're playing like Jason Worth and you're the leader of the ball club, it allows you to do things like that. If you want to go up to a guy and say, hey, you got to get over and cover first, you can do that because of the way you're performing on the field. Yeah. If you're Jason Worth and you're hitting 200 right now, you're not going to say anything to Gio Gonzalez. And you also like the way Gio Gonzalez just didn't sit there and wear it and kind of went back at Jason Worth. And stuff like that happens during the course of a season, and it's not as big as everybody made it, but from a positive standpoint, it shows that the club still has life and that they care, and that your leader is going to speak up if he thinks something should be different. And I think there's a responsibility card that comes with the contract that Jason Worth has to be that leader, and he's walking the talk, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And he's changed the attitude of this franchise since the day he got here.
He has. He's had a big effect in a lot of different phases of what they do and what we do as an organization. 2-0 to LaRoche. And this sort of stuff's been going on with baseball teams forever. It's just that in this day and age, nothing's a secret anymore. You have a little scrap in the dugout, and there's, the visiting show has a couple of cameras on it. The home show does, and then everybody knows about it. And then the internet takes off, and everybody knows what's going on. I mean, stuff like this has been going on for a long, long time. It's part of being together for such a long season.
In case you missed it, here's Tuesday. I mean, going back to it real quick, and the reason we're showing it again is because there's no real ramifications other than a positive. I mean, Gio Gonzalez back sore, didn't get over at cover first. Jason Worth kind of coming off the field, barking at Gio Gonzalez. Gio pointed and said, "You talking to me?" And Jason Worth let him know what he was thinking, that he should get over and cover first base. Gio didn't take it lying down. You got to like that, too, from the Nats left-hander. Well, fireworks and a big so what.
Hey, keep winning. Hold your teammates accountable, too. It's all right.
Good teams police themselves.
Anthony Rendon 1 for 2 of the double. Nats threatening to score again. He will hit one high in the air to center. This is taking Blanco way back there. I was a little surprised Jason Worth didn't go back and tag. It was obvious the ball was going to be caught. But he stayed at second base. Returning to first is LaRoche. 2 on, 2 out. Ross Ohlendorf is going to pitch tomorrow night for the Potomac Nationals, who are home through tomorrow. They've got a couple of giveaways going on halfway to St. Patrick's Day on the homestand. 703-590-2311 or PotomacNationals.com. Ross was in the Nats clubhouse this morning, coming off a Double-A appearance. He says he feels fine. He feels like his fastball's back. And he will be pitching as a P-net tomorrow night. Kurt Suzuki, a good day. That throws into center field. That's why Worth didn't advance on the fly ball. He knew he was about to go to third.
I mean, 2 outs, the concentration has to be on the hitter. I've never seen so much concern with runners at second base as I have from the Giants in this series. I mean, you got 2 outs and the 8th hitter up. Your full concentration has to be on the batter. The base runners at this point are irrelevant. The out is at the plate. And for them to try a pickoff move right here, it just doesn't make sense. And now you probably walk Kurt Suzuki to get to Dan Herron. But
two intentional walks in the inning. One to LaRoche with 1 out and Suzuki with 2 outs. And Dan Herron will step in, have a chance to put his team up by 4 or 5. Dan's pitching very well. 83 pitches, 53 strikes, and 5 2-hit shutout innings. By the way, the only other game in the league this afternoon just ended. St. Louis walked off against Pittsburgh in the bottom of the 12th. So in the Central Division, there are 3 teams within 3 games of each other now. The Reds will play later at Milwaukee, and the Nats are 8.5 back of Cincinnati for that final wild card. So we're into the 6 o'clock hour here at Nationals Park. We can tell by looking at the shadows and looking at the traffic crawling on 395 a mile to the north of us. It's rush hour, but here at the old ballpark, it's time to relax and enjoy a 3-run lead and try to score a couple more. Nats looking to turn this at one time 0-3 homestand into a 6-3. Dan Herron pops it up over by the tarp, just out of play. By the way, Phil Wood reminded me today that the longest winning streak ever by a Washington team is 17 by the old Senators.
So premature, Phil.
I told him, well, win today, it's down to 11 and counting. Target away on 0-1. Right there. Nats have had runners all day. Worth led off with a double. 1 out later, LaRoche was walked intentionally. After the second out, so was Suzuki. Good take by Dan Herron. 2-2.
Last thing, the same thing. Pretty good pitch right there. Looked like a strike. Obviously broke out of the zone late. Not an easy take.
Top of the order, a guy who's swinging the bat well and playing some serious baseball right now. Dan Herron battling.
He's put another good at bat on.
Giants with the gloves must feel like they've been on the field all day with these long innings. The third, the fourth, and the fifth. Dan Herron flies one to right for Hunter Pence. If there was a time of possession clock, it would be leaning heavily toward the first base dugout.
Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. 3-0 Nats as we head to the top of the sixth. Jason Worth doing his thing. Ian Desmond doing his thing with extra base hits. And how about great Dan Herron today? He has been fantastic. Commanding the strike zone in the outer half. Throwing that split for the out pitch when he needs it. How about a cutter on the inner half when he wants it? And you see how he just kind of gets the pressure on the middle finger right there. And a front door cutter to strike out Brett Pill. Good shot of how that cutter comes out of his hand, but the command has been good.
Mound presence, keeping the ball down, getting outs. It's all going on for Dan Herron. Long first inning, he's been good since. How about going to lunch with Gio? It's part of Masson's wonderful fun we're having these days. You can enter to win at facebook.com/Masson Nationals. You and two friends lunch with Gio Gonzalez. It's our meet and greet giveaway. Breaking ball for a strike to Brandon Crawford as Dan Herron continues to mix things up.
Where's lunch at? I mean, that's what I want to know. I mean, we're going to Ruth Chris. Where are we going?
Well, I mean, don't start out with any expensive place. Maybe Gio would prefer a little Southern Florida cuisine. We'll see who gets to pick that.
I'd love to have lunch with Gio, but I want to be, if he's picking up the tab, we're going somewhere big.
That ball lashed down the right field line and just to the right of the pole. .335 down there, and Crawford, who's hit 7 home runs, got a big piece of that one. The Giants have not had a hit since the first inning. With 1 out, Crawford flared 1 to left. Posey singled to left with 2 outs. Pence walked, and then the biggest out of the game, Dan Herron popped up Pablo Sandoval. They haven't had a sniff at a run since, except in the 5th when Kieschnick walked, went to 3rd on an error, never got beyond 3rd base. Two balls, 2 strikes. Brandon Belt and then Buster Posey. Dan Herron's last 4 starts now, ERA tumbling toward the 1 mark. Ground ball, Ian Desmond waiting for it. Not that many ground balls today. I've got that as only the 4th ground ball out, and Herron had the assist on 1 of those.
Not really a sinker ball guy when you think about it. He's a strikeout guy with a split. He's going to come in with the cutter to left-handers. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Giants pitching staff, by the way, through the first 5 innings of this game. Vogelsong, Majerus, and Moscoso throwing 118 pitches. Solid contact there. Deep left center. Span, and he can only watch it as Brandon Belt hits one into the opposite side bullpen. His 2nd home run of this series, his 15th. It's a 3-1 game. He's on some kind of roll with a 10-game hitting streak.
Reigning NL Player of the Week. And Dan Herron finally left something out over the plate. And hot hitters don't miss those pitches. Brandon Belt is hot as anybody. Deposits one in his own bullpen to make this a 2-run game.
Buster Posey steps in. And he goes to left with a fly ball that'll back up Bryce Harper, but he's under it. So Dan Herron's just given up his 22nd home run of the year, but he's been a lot more stingy with the long ball lately. In fact, that's the first home run he's given up since he gave 2 to the Pirates on July 22nd. In a 6-5 loss. So he had gone 3 straight starts without giving up a long ball, and 4 of the last 5.
It's just all predicated on command. I mean, he doesn't have the stuff when he used to throw 95, 96 to go right down the middle. He's just done such a nice job of pitching to a corner, keeping the ball down. He just totally hit it in his spots, commanding the game, and working fast, too. His work rate has been much quicker than it was earlier in the season.
Yep. By the way, that was the Giants' first base hit, and a 4-bagger at that, since the first inning. 3-1 pitch to Hunter Pence. Reaching for that one, and Herron cut it right to the top of his barrel at the last second. In a tight ball game, which this still is, we would love to see Pablo Sandoval leading off the 7th inning. Pence overpowered on that one. Right over by the dugout. Right on the roof. Don't want to face that guy as the tying run. By the way, that was the Giants' 71st home run of the year. Only the Marlins with 62 have hit fewer. 3-2, and Pence pops this one up fair. Jason Worth in that Sunfield out there. Solo home run, no problem. Dan Herron, 1 run on 3 hits through 6. Giants 3-1, trying to sweep this series. Big news in baseball. Replay next year on virtually every play except balls and strikes. Down the line, safe or out. Managers, FP, get 3 challenges per game. 1 of those in the first 6 innings, and then 2 the remainder of a ball game. And it won't be going into a little room to see replays. These decisions will be made by a central office in New York, sort of like the way hockey does it.
And if a manager's successful with his replay challenge, he will not be charged with a review. I'm not going to sit here and say I like it until I see it works. How do I know if I like it?
They have to throw a bag, little red flag out of the dugout. Denard Span, first pitch swinging. So that's what Bud Selig wants to do, and he called it historic. But a 75% vote by the owners is needed for approval, and the Players Association and umpires have to agree to any changes in the system as it stands now.
Well, if a manager uses all 3 of his challenges, the umpiring crew can make a review of its own to determine home run calls after the challenges are out. That's grandfathered in. So, I mean, sounds good, but I gotta see it work first.
Yeah, and you don't want this thing to become like the NFL, you know, where fans are sitting around in stadiums in a tight ball game waiting and waiting for things to be decided.
I mean, so you're telling me first and third, 1 out. Tie ball game, bottom of the 8th.
Okay.
Ground ball to the shortstop. He flips to the second baseman. They turn the double play. The inning's over. But
somebody claims the neighborhood play, right?
I'm going to throw my red flag, and I want you to go review the fact that the guy did not touch the base on a double play, because that's what it's going to come down to.
If managers have challenges left, you know it's going to.
And then we're going to have 46 game summaries, because there's going to be so much to talk about and so much to review. Like I said, I got to see it work first before I have an opinion.
I think the umpires are going to have a lot to say about this. One of the things about baseball down through the decades has been the human element.
I mean, I just watched on the MLB network the other day the 50 greatest arguments in Major League history. Now you're quite possibly taking that whole aspect of Billy Martin kicking dirt on an umpire, or Earl Weaver coming out and arguing, and all those classic arguments. You're taking it out of the game of baseball.
Now you got to pick out your cell phone and call the central office in New York and argue with that guy. Well, nobody knows about this sort of thing better than the man behind home plate today. Jim Joyce in that call at first base on the Armando Galarraga near perfect game just a couple of years ago. And the emotional scene the next day When Galarraga brought out the lineup card, Jim Joyce had the plate. He had tears in his eyes as he thanked young Mr. Galarraga for the classy way in which he had handled that situation. I think we're taking some humanity out of the game here.
Well, like I said, let's see how it works first.
Yeah. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ryan Zimmerman. That pitch nasty, diving down, 94 for the second out here in the 6th. Moscoso with his second strikeout. Fernando Abad to try to bridge this game from the 6th to the 8th when it's Clippard time. And by the way, Tyler Clippard only had to throw 11 pitches to get those important 2 outs last night. So he's had 2 appearances in this series, retired 5 batters, and only thrown 23 pitches. Here's Bryce, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a hard line drive to left.
And seeing a steady diet of off speed on the outer half.
Three runs in the 3rd, the beginning of the game. Desmond, a 2-run double. LaRoche, a single. Jason Worth, another multi-hit day. And the time he made an out, he stole second and scored after a fielder's choice. Off speed, 2-1. Bryce Harper rips that one to right. Second hit of this series and 8 at-bats with a walk. And he's aboard to get Jason Worth to the plate with 2 outs. And anytime you can get Worth in the box, you've made it dangerous for the other ball club.
Well, this ball's absolutely scalded by Bryce Harper. Right on the barrel, rolling the wrist to the pull side. A velocity of that line drive, getting to right field quick. Nice piece of hitting out of Nats left fielder.
Nationals with 8 hits. They had 17 in the first 2 games of this series, winning 4-2 and 6-5. And of course, double-digit hits in all 3 games against the Phillies. Jason Worth in this series, 5 for 11. Moscoso struck him out in the 5th inning on Monday night. That was the first time these two had ever faced each other. So Jason's on a 7-game hitting streak now, 14 for his last 26.
Locked in. And what you're seeing as a product of that is, teams talking more about Jason Worth in the scouting report, in the pre-series meeting or the pre-game meeting, being more careful on how they pitch to Jason Worth, and that's the snowball effect. All of a sudden you start finding yourself in 2-0 counts, 3-1 counts, because you're out there on the mound thinking, this guy's on fire, he's locked in, I can't make a mistake, I got to throw a perfect pitch. Next thing you know, you're behind the count, and that's how you do damage on a consistent basis, and that's how you stay hot for a long period of time.
2-0 to Worth. And by the way, just one more footnote on this whole replay thing. On the committee, Joe Torre, John Scherholtz, the longtime Atlanta GM, and Tony La Russa, among others. So those are the kind of minds involved in this sort of thing. And there's Javier Lopez, our local guy, out of Fairfax, warming up for the Giants. 3-0 to Worth. That's a strike call. Fastball, upper part of the zone.
Let's see Bryce Harper on the move right here. Pitch early.
Well, Worth drove the ball last time, doubled off the scoreboard. And with Harper holding, he can walk to second. Jason Worth on base for the third time today. On base percentage, .401 coming into the game, and on its way up to the .410 mark.
Well, and you know who's taking advantage of all this Worth hotness is the guy in the batter's box right now. Ian Desmond seems like he comes up with a chance to do damage every single time. Guy in front of you is hot. They're careful with him. He's on base. And you're the one that cleans up. Saw Jeff Kent win an MVP like that in San Francisco, hitting behind Barry Bonds for an entire season.
Ian Desmond 1 for 3, 2-run double. Nats a chance to answer right back from that Brandon Belt home run top of this inning.
Just looking for an add-on run right here. Any way they can get it. Been sitting on that 3 spot since the 3rd.
Straight back from Ian Desmond. Guillermo Moscoso, Colorado last year, Oakland, Texas before that. Some time with Kansas City. And then the Giants got him from the Cubs July 26th. Desmond asking for time. Giants pitching staff, we have found out in this series, very deliberate. Harper's got a huge lead at second. I'm sure with 1 out they wouldn't give him that much leeway.
Well, somebody said something to the Giants middle infielders about let's get the hitter with 2 outs. Because Crawford's away, Scudero's away, and they're letting Bryce Harper extend. And the point I made last inning, there's no reason to pick somebody off with 2 outs. You got to focus on the hitter.
2-2 pitch. Pitcher staring at the runner coming home. Desmond strikes out on a fastball down and in. The Nats have stranded 11 base runners today. On to the 7th inning now in a 3-1 game. 3-1, Nats on top. They've out hit the Giants 8-3. Strikeouts today, Dan Herron done for the afternoon. He struck out 3, so that's $37 times 3 to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health. Thanks to our D.C. area Toyota dealers and their contributions helping children and their families with Toyota, Case for Kids. To the bullpen now, Fernando Abad, 30th appearance in 26 innings, 24 strikeouts, but the league hitting .282 against him.
Remember his last outing, hit 98. So a guy that is sat between 90 and 94, touched an occasional 95. The last time out was 96, 97, and 98 miles an hour with the fastball. You had curveball and a change to go with it.
Well, Julie, the Nats are into their bullpen now with 9 outs to get. Anybody not available today?
Well, Davey Johnson said that everyone is available, including Soriano and Tyler Clippard. But he says if it were up to him, he prefers not to use either of them today, as he wants to save their arms for the Atlanta series. So hopefully Abad will be able to get it done, and maybe we'll see Drew Storen sooner rather than later.
Boy, he's getting loose right now.
Yeah, there's Drew, who made 6 appearances in August with Syracuse. Didn't give up any hits or runs with 4 strikeouts his last 3 times out. So here's what we had hoped for last inning. Pablo Sandoval leading off the 7th. Facing Fernando Abad for the first time. Threw him an 0-2 changeup, which floated outside.
Fun to watch him the other night when he's hitting 97, 98, just pumping the fastballs, challenging hitters. I can imagine a pitcher, you have those nights. Like when you're a hitter and the bat feels like a wiffle ball bat, I guarantee you there's nights like Abad had where that baseball feels like a wiffle ball.
95 away to strike out Sandoval. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
You see the sequence, everything away to Sandoval. A couple of fastballs away, a couple of change-ups away, and then the 5th pitch of the at-bat, 95 miles an hour. Sandoval reaches, but maybe because of the previous change-up is late.
Sandy Rosario warming for the Giants. And a chopper foul. Roger Kishnik in the series 1 for 5 with a walk and an RBI. He's 0 for 1 with a walk today. Talking about some of the things that have stalled the Giants this year. The loss of Angel Pagan back in late May. Well, the left hamstring strain has hurt their offense, hurt their defense. He's always been a solid player who can do different things from a speed and power standpoint for you.
And Pablo Sandoval missed a bunch of time.
Before and after Pagan's injury, Giants were 5 over, scoring runs. Since then, under 500, and just over 3 runs a game as we go inside the numbers with STG Inc. 20 games under.
And they're a ball club that Bruce Bochy kind of mixes and matches. They kind of piece it together to where maybe put an Arias in there at shortstop against a lefty. He's hurt, he can't play, so now Brandon Crawford's playing against more lefties. And without Pagan in there, you're going to play Blanco a little bit more maybe against a lefty. So, you know, Bruce Bochy's won by doing a nice job of matching up his players and putting them into positions to succeed. But when you have injuries and you lose players, you don't have that luxury. You just got to ride the horses that you have, and you don't really have a chance to match up like you'd like to.
Is there talk out there about trying to attract free agent hitters in the ballpark? It's a tough place to hit home runs. They did pick up Carlos Beltran at the end of the season a couple years ago. and let him walk, and then he went to St. Louis and had pretty good success. Giants are not a power team. That ball fades into foul ground, and Kieschnick is out. And we'll see if Fernando Abad can come up with a 1-2-3 inning here. Looks like they're going to hit for him with Jeff Francoeur. Francoeur started the first game of this series, batted 7th, went 1 for 4. He was designated for assignment July 5th by the Royals, where he hit .208. Signed a minor league contract with the Giants and was called up mid-July. Tremendous power, great arm in the outfield, but always a bit strikeout prone in his career. And the count from Abad to Francoeur, 0-2.
The Royals playing some good baseball, so this upcoming road trip for the Nats may prove to be a little bit more challenging than you would have thought of when you first looked at the schedule.
I think I saw the other day they picked up Emilio Bonifacio from Toronto. So he will cross paths with the Nats again. And a swing and a miss. Abad pulling the string. 2 strikeouts in the 7th. Ball game gets to the stretch with the Nats on top by 2. And the 7th inning stretch brought to you by the Hyundai Clearance Countdown. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. Beautiful day at Nationals Park. Good hitters coming up. Kia. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. That's every Nationals fan's fantasy when going to the dry cleaners, where every shirt going by has a curly W or the script Washington on it. Nice job.
It'd be funny if there was a person coming around there hanging.
Well, right now, the way the Nats are going, it would probably be an opposing pitcher. This offense is going pretty well. Not a lot of offense in terms of knocking in runs today, but a 3-run lead or 3-1 lead, and those runs all came with 2 outs.
Yeah, Dan Herron's had a couple of chances to break the game open with the bases loaded, so the only thing he didn't do well today was drive in runs, but he just picked up right where he left off. Had great fastball command on the outer half of that cutter split combination. Commanded the glove side once again, and did a great job of hitting his spots. Made one mistake to Brandon Belt, really the only pitch he left out over the plate. So another encouraging outing for Davey Johnson from Dan Herron.
It'll be interesting to see how Davey plays it down the stretch here. Normally Clippard, then Soriano. As Julie said, he'd like to stay away from those guys. So maybe Drew Storen comes up and gets thrust into an interesting spot. But, Davey, you got to win every ball game. You've got a chance to win right now. Worry about tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't save your bullets for another day. There is another day. We talk about winning the day. It's all about right now. So we'll see what he does with the bullpen. Obviously, Drew Storen getting hot. Now, how about you? I'm anxious to see Drew pitch.
Yeah, and I asked Drew this morning, did you junk any pitches down there? You know, are you trying to simplify things? He said, no, I really haven't changed anything in terms of what I'm throwing. And it was basically an inning at a time, with the exception of the one time he did start a game and threw 40 pitches. So Sandy Rosario takes over for the Giants as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and Jeff Francoeur, as you saw in the ball game, playing center field. Well, there's your answer in the bullpen. It's not that there is no tomorrow, but you got to grab every win you can.
Like I said, I'm anxious to see Tyler Clippard pitch.
As am I. Love watching that guy every day. Here's Adam LaRoche. 27-year-old Sandy Rosario for the Giants. He pitched 2/3 of an inning on Monday night, and he did that by getting Ryan Zimmerman to hit into a double play. When Adam gets an RBI, the Nats are 18 games over. And LaRoche facing Rosario for the first time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's 1 for 2 with a walk and an RBI single. And that ball right into the chest of the pitcher. Rosario hurt. Able to get up and throw out the batter. Buster Posey, the first to arrive at the mound. And Adam not returning to the dugout. He's standing short of the first base bag as Rosario is clutching his chest.
Well, the first thought is, if it gets you in the heart. And it looks like by where Marco Scudero was pointing on his jersey, they got him right in the sternum. Let's check it out. Man, this ball was smoked too. Right in the chest. I mean, he didn't even have time to get his glove up. He hit that so hard. And look, he's trying to get the glove there. Created an angle a little bit with his body, and that might have saved him. This is the angle right here. Watch. Yeah, just that little turn. But I always say you base how hard a guy got hit by where the ball goes. You know, if it ricochets far, it didn't get him that good. That ball just sat right at his feet. So let's hope he's okay.
Nobody more relieved about that than Adam LaRoche. So Rosario will leave after 1 batter. He made a tremendous play just to be able to reach down and throw that ball to first base. And hopefully all's well with Sandy Rosario. Bruce Bochy will have to bring in another pitcher. Adam LaRoche obviously concerned. The Braves have the season series over the Nats 10-3, but the Braves only 4-3 at Turner Field. So it'll be Alex Wood and Taylor Jordan tomorrow night. Taylor is 1-3 and 8 starts with a 4.14 ERA. And we'll get you going at 7 o'clock with Nats Extra tomorrow night. Game time on Friday nights in Atlanta, a half hour later. So first pitch after 7:30 when we join you for the 8th game of the year. These two teams have played from Turner Field. Good crowd here today, enjoying a beautiful day. Well played, tight baseball game. Now Jeff Francoeur in the ball game defensively for one hitter. He's gone, and Andres Torres takes over in center on a double switch. So the number 8 spot becomes the pitcher spot for the Giants here in the 7th.
Well, 52nd appearance for Javi Lopez. You see the numbers against lefties good, the number against righties not so good. And coming in here in an emergency, he's going to take as many pitches as he needs to get loose. Generally situational guys that come in to face one hitter, they don't take long to get loose. So 3-pitch guy. Fastball, slider, cutter, an occasional change. 4-pitch guy, excuse me.
Came in, faced one batter Monday night, got Chad Tracy to ground out. Javi Lopez from Robinson High School in Fairfax. Pitched at UVA, was also a very good position player there and a good hitter. 36 years of age now. And he'll be facing Anthony Rendon. Anthony Rendon 1 for 3 today. Brandon Belt playing him way off the line at first, and that's inside under his hands.
On a side note on LaRoche, he's hit 2 of the hardest balls I've seen him hit in a long time here today. Line out to center, and that line drive back to the pitcher you just saw.
Yeah, glad that Adams starting to gear things up and get comfortable at the plate and driving the ball again. The Nats will need him in that series against the Braves, in a ballpark he knows very well.
And a hitting coach that he absolutely loves, Chipper Jones.
That's right. I forgot about that. Few tips for LaRoche last time we were there, and some Braves fans weren't happy about it.
No, Chipper locked him in.
Hey, if you don't listen to that guy, you're crazy. Out to short, Brandon Crawford on the run. Makes a lot of not easy plays look pretty simple. 2 outs, Kurt Suzuki next. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years. Catch the rest of this season in HD quality. You can watch every out-of-market game live on more than 350 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV. Check out MLB.TV Premium for all that HD action. Lopez against Kurt Suzuki. Kurt 0 for 1 career against him. Nats haven't gone 1-2-3 since the first inning. And Ryan Vogelsong got his day off to a good start. 12 pitches, 8 strikes, getting Span, Zimmerman, and Harper. But then the Nats created some very long innings for him from the 2nd through the 4th. Scott Hairston next. The Nats right-handed bat specialist against left-handed pitchers. Nice inning for Fernando Abad, by the way. 16 pitches, 11 strikes, getting it to Clippard. Great changeup by Lopez. He comes in, makes short work of 2 hitters. This one into the 8th now. It's up to Clippard and maybe Soriano the rest of the way. Scudero, Brandon Crawford for the Giants. The Mid-Atlantic Sports Report returns tomorrow from 5 to 7, right before Davey Johnson and the Nats go to Atlanta. Join Keith Mills, Dave Johnson, Phil Wood. If you missed today's show, well, that was early in the week. If you missed yesterday's show, you missed some good stuff with Bruce Bochy. You never know what's going to pop up next on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report, and that'll happen for 2 hours tomorrow, taking you right up to Nats Extra at 7 o'clock with Johnny and Ray. Tyler Clippard, 2 outs last night, getting a couple of huge outs in the 8th against Kieschnick and Blanco when the Giants threatened to tie the game, and just about a spotless 8th inning on Monday night.
Right-handers hitting 134, lefties 158. Last night, Tyler Clippard comes in to a sticky situation. Goes elevator fastball to Kieschnick. And same way to Blanco. Showing some emotion, little fist pump coming off the mound. And now the Giants people asking me today about Tyler Clippard and if he's closed it all this year. I said, no, it's been Soriano all the way.
Yeah, Tyler Clippard, 32 saves last year. When he struck out 84 in 73 innings, had an ERA all year of 3.72. This is a 28-year-old right-hander who came from the Yankees. Hard to believe now, 6 years ago in a deal straight up for Jonathan Albaladeo. And I'm pretty sure we know who got the best of that deal. He has done everything this ball club has asked of him. Back in 08, even started a couple of times. There's that changeup. He's got a hitter just lunging for the ball. And Rendon throws out Andres Torres. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Marco Scudero 0 for 3. Brandon Crawford to follow. But the Nats will see the big guns of the Giants one more time today. Belt, Posey, and Pence guaranteed to hit in this game, and maybe even Sandoval. Now that was a funny looking swing. Too bad it didn't stay fair.
I've been a cutter at 86. Definitely wasn't a changeup. And Scudero ran out of bat.
Scudero's gone the other way 3 times today. Grounder to second, 2 fly balls to right. He bent that knee and cocked the bat a little bit, and that got Ryan Zimmerman on the move in from third.
See Scudero doing some eye exercises right there before the pitch. He looked up to the right and then up to the left right before Clippard went into his windup. Didn't do it that time.
Right side again, and Rendon can't get to it. Ball skipping wickedly away from him. And now the Giants, who were so tough in the last 2 innings last night, get the tying run into the batter's box with Brandon Crawford.
A good effort right here by Scudero, or excuse me, Rendon on the Scudero ground ball. Just under his glove, and like you said, tie and run to the plate.
Brandon Crawford 1 for 2 career against Clippard, 1 for 1 in this series. And the 92 fastball right in there. Clippard likes to drop that changeup down and away to lefties. Crawford has bounced into 9 double plays.
And coming in.
Short lead. Scudero started, then stopped. Boy, and to Jim Joyce's credit, Clipper didn't throw the ball where Suzuki was set up, and Kurt was coming up out of his crouch FP.
Well,
you could lose a call on a play like that.
Or you could gain a call.
Perfect.
I'm trying to figure out what that pitch was. 86. There wasn't a changeup, and it went away from Crawford.
Interesting. Yeah, his changeup usually, what, 82 to 84?
Sometimes in the 70s.
0-2. Scudero's short lead. And a pretty good rip by Brandon Crawford. Yeah, that was interesting. A lot of things going on that pitch.
I'm going to try to check out this pitch one more time if we get a chance. Downward away movement from Crawford. Suzuki kind of backhanded the ball as he was jumping out at the fake break by Scudero. Same pitch he threw Scudero when he cued it off the end.
0-2. Out of play left side. Not by much.
All right. 2 pitches ago. Check it out. No idea. It was nasty, whatever it was at 86. Maybe he turned over a 2-seamer. I don't know.
Either that or he just threw the hardest changeup we've ever seen him throw.
Maybe.
That's a good off-speed pitch, really slowing down the bat. Ian Desmond for the second out. I know you've said often over the last couple of years the save can come in the 8th inning. That may seem a little silly with Posey, Pence, and Sandoval due up. But right now, this is the most dangerous hitter on the Giants. On a beautiful day at Nationals Park, stepping in, Brandon Belt. Ball game just into the 7 o'clock hour here after starting nearly 3 hours ago.
Well, you'd say make him beat you the other way right here, but he just hit one in the bullpen. So I think he just tried to change up, keep the changeup down the way. Maybe show him a fastball up for effect, and then change his eye line and go to that changeup down the way. Try the first pitch curve.
Brandon Belt against Tyler Clippard, career 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And he threw him a 1-0 change at 81.
Well, there's a changeup down the way. Belt thinking fastball, got a perfectly placed changeup from Tyler Clippard. If you make contact with this, there's not a whole lot you can do. Watch the placement. Down, away, perfect.
And he goes heater. Misses low with 92, and he took a long look in after that call.
Well, if he's got a good feel for the changeup, it's not the worst thing in the world to fall behind 2-1 because hitters thinking fastball. Hitter got a fastball and he was late.
Counts even 2-2. Big crowd today. For a 4 o'clock game on Thursday, 36,719. And they're starting to come alive a little bit, looking for that final out here in the 8th inning. 3-1 Nats. They've led since the 3rd. That ball speared by Rendon. The Nats have played amazing defense in this series and on this homestand. Anthony Rendon stretching out full to keep the Giants at bay. With another multi-hit game, and he's on base 3 times with a walk as well. Dan Herron, 6 outstanding innings, only run, a Brandon Belt solo homer, and Ian Desmond right in the middle of the offense, driving in 2 of the 3 runs with his 33rd double.
Well, let's check out the play that Anthony Rendon made to end the 8th inning. You could make the argument based on this view that had a chance to get into a gap maybe and be a double with the tying run on second. Buster Posey at the plate. That ball was hit hard. Rendon, couple of steps, and then dive on a kind of a tough hop, actually. It came up on him. Got to his feet, knew he had time. Tyler Clippard fired up. Nats fans fired up, but another great play by Anthony Rendon. Might have taken away a double.
Scott Hairston, bottom of the 8th, pinch hitting for Tyler Clippard. And Javier Lopez throws the fastball right in there. 1 for 9, pinch hitting as a Nat. Lopez with that sidearm whip of his and a little fly ball over to Brandon Belt for the first out. Well, the Nats have gone deep on the homestand, not today. Every time they hit a home run, it's $250 to the Children's National Medical Center, thanks to our Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection. They've hit 112 this year, 7th in the league. Stammen, if the Nats maybe score another run or 2, and then Soriano, if it's still a safe situation with the top of the 9th rolling around against some pretty tough hitters. 4, 5, and 6.
There were some fans last night saying on Twitter that Soriano should have ran out an untucked Denard Span shirt.
Good call. Little chopper. Lopez called off by Sandoval. And it's a good thing he did for the Giants. That would have been a base hit. Pablo Sandoval makes a nice play. Denard Span 1 for 5 today.
Well, we've been saying how Pablo Sandoval has been playing in on Denard Span the whole series, and it finally pays off for the Giants. Kind of a swinging bunt right there by Span. Sandoval on it. Makes a nice throw across the diamond to Belt.
Santiago Casilla, according to Denard Span, was one of the reasons he made that catch last night. Said he saw that guy warming up and didn't want to have to face him in the bottom of the 9th. He said also, I knew we were playing a day game tomorrow, so I wanted to get the guys home.
The only thing he did wrong is you just got to wear the Gatorade shower at the end. You can't run from that. You don't do those every day.
Well, you know, he blamed our reporter. Her eyes lit up, and he knew how to get out of Dodge.
Even if you see that, even if Julie's tipping her pitches down there, you still got to let that Gatorade get you. You don't get to do that every day.
Zimmerman might have been a busted bat. Javier Lopez comes in and retires 4 straight. Here we go. Top of the 9th. Soriano against Posey, Pence, and Sandoval.
And it's time for your Kia Drive of the Game, brought to you by Kia. Visit Kia.com. Little Rock Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. And Little Rock Ian Desmond hit some of the fastest doubles in America. 2-run double in the third inning, put the Nats up 2-0. 52nd extra base hit of the year for Desmond. He's fired up. Turned out to be the big hit in this ballgame.
Rafael Soriano has already saved 2 games in this series. He saved 1 in the Philadelphia series, so he's had a pretty productive homestand. Defense helped him out last night when the Giants got to him for a belt single, a Posey single. Sanchez had singled earlier, and Denard Span, with the amazing play of the year given the situation, helped him get his 31st save.
Yeah, that was just taking Spanning to a whole new level.
That it was. Buster Posey, 2 for 3 career against Soriano, 1 for 2 in this series. Buster is 1 for 3 today, and in the series 4 hits and 12 at bats. Nothing like that first pitch strike.
Nothing like that last pitch strike either.
That one rides upstairs. For strike 2.
I don't know if Buster Posey was waiting for a cutter right there and got a fastball down the middle, but he was taken all the way, it looked like.
On a slider up, base hit.
Well, that's what he was waiting for. That's why he took the fastball down the middle. Good hitters will sit on pitches, and Buster Posey waited for the slider, got it with 2 strikes. Look at the elevated slider at 83, not a whole lot to it. He wants it down away, leaves it up and right out over the plate. Leadoff man aboard here in the 9th for the Giants.
Hunter Pence. He's walked. He's 0 for 2 today. Going after that high strike. 0-2, 91 got by him.
Well, if a guy swings at that pitch, he can climb a ladder on the next one. So he goes 91 letter high to Hunter Pence. Let's see if he tries to throw in a little bit higher than that here.
That one was center cut. Out of play to the right side. Fastball up, got him. He took him right upstairs.
I think he tried to do that on the 0-2 pitch. He just left it out over the plate. And then he goes right back to it, climbs the ladder, and gets this swinging strike 3. So swing and miss stuff here from Soriano today. Nice pitch.
Yeah, pretty late there. Pablo Sandoval has been on deck the last 2 nights when Rafael Soriano retired Hunter Pence to end those ball games.
He can hit with some double plays too.
He's going to hit one to right in the air. He didn't get it, and it'll be a easy fly ball for our Jason Worth. 2 down. And it'll be up to the rookie Roger Kieschnick, or will they hit for him? No, it's Kieschnick down there. Left-handed batter coming in. Johnny and Ray here at the ballpark. Nats Extra Postgame presented by PNC Bank. Who would have thought a week ago that the Nats would have a chance for a winning homestand, much less what they could do here? We'll see.
Win the day.
Kieschnick 0 for 2 with a walk. Facing Soriano for the first time. Runner goes to second. Nats led him. Buster Posey scoring position with 2 outs in a 2-run game. Living high in the zone here in the 9th inning.
It seems to be deceptive, playing a little bit harder than 91-92. Giants hitters a little bit tardy.
Sure seems like it. Kieschnick, good job of laying off, so he's not biting on the high stuff. Works the count to 3-1. Their pitcher's spot is next. And their backup catcher, switch hitter, Hector Sanchez on deck. '92 playing like '95. Just missing, up and away. Tying runs on base. Hector Sanchez, 3 for 18, 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter. Facing Soriano here for the first time.
Well, Sanchez is a guy that doesn't get cheated. Saw that last night. He's going to come up swinging. He swings hard.
And a bouncer straight back for a strike. Jammed him and has him 0-2. Out for a visit, Kurt Suzuki and Ian Desmond to join in. Steve Agatti's watched a good battle by Heron, Abad, Clippard, and Soriano today.
Carp, there's some fans behind the plate that are really into it right now. And I was debating whether to show that guy or not, but he is pounding his belly as soon as Soriano starts the pitch.
I don't know if he's distracting the pitcher, but he's distracting the heck out of us.
This is fantastic. I was not going to say anything, but I had to. You got to watch him to the right there. Watch. Top right of your screen. There he goes. Rally boiler. Pretty good pitch. 2-2 fastball. Did it get the top right corner? A little bit up. Good call by Jim Joyce.
Runners on the move here, and that's big. Nationals in a very deep no doubles defense here. And a 3-2 from Soriano. And that ball is well hit to right. It's trouble if it's fair. It's a home run. And the Giants have gone ahead 4-3.
Unbelievable.
That's only Sanchez's 11th hit of the year. His first pinch home run, his first home run overall this year. And the Giants have shocked the Nationals by going up 4-3.
I mean, he was up there to do one thing, and that was go deep. And he challenged him on the inner half. And once again, a left-handed hitter gets challenged on the inner half and beats Soriano.
The walk hurt. 3 runs on 2 hits and a blown save.
Rafael Soriano. Wow. 3-run homer here in the top of the 9th inning. A 4-3 San Francisco lead. Johnny Holiday and Ray Knight will be joining you after this game is over tonight. Never know, do you, Ray?
Well, I know one thing. You know, Soriano's got to tighten up. You know, he's just living on the edge. He's lived on the edge for a long time, either by walking people or balls hit hard. And he doesn't, to me, he doesn't look like a closer right now. He's just a guy that, and I'm not beating on him because he just gave up this 3-run home run. He was robbed last night. Great play in center field. It just seems like every time out there, there's not a clean 3 outs in a row. It's always a base hit, a walk, and you're on the edge of your seat. And you play with fire enough, and you're going to get burned.
Well, we'll see if the Nationals can come back and pull it out, tie it, take it to extra, or win it here in the bottom of the 9th. Let's send you back upstairs to Bob and FP.
All right, Ray and Johnny, appreciate that. And we're going to the bottom of the 9th. Sergio Romo will be facing the Nats. And FP, you talk about this constantly, about challenging guys so they can pull the ball in the late innings.
Well, guys with pop, and Kurt Suzuki wants this in off the plate. He's setting up down and in off the plate, and Soriano leaves it up and right out over the inner half. And that's the turbo zone. Here's a cutter that was supposed to cut in off the plate. It didn't cut. He left it up there, and Sanchez went upper tank, got all of it. I said last night, it's tough to have a closer that doesn't have swing and miss stuff. And right now, Soriano hitting some barrels.
Sergio Romo makes his first appearance of this series. First batter, Bryce Harper. And against Romo career, first time they've matched up. That's a breaking ball inside, 1 for 4. What do we see from Romo when he's out there?
A two-seam fastball and a slider. And one of the better sliders you'll see, it's hard to pick up the rotation. You see hitters thinking it's a fastball all the time.
Given up 4 homers in 43 innings this year. Now he's looking for his 29th save. And Harper greets him. Oh my goodness, what a play by Brandon Crawford. Fully stretched out, and a ball that appeared to be already in center field.
Man, what a play by Brandon Crawford. I think Bryce got this just off the end, and that allowed Brandon Crawford to get to the baseball. And here the bat hit the ground, so the bat was broke right there, and it gave Crawford enough time based on the velocity of the ball to make a leaping, diving catch to Rob Harper.
Jason Worth, 0 for 4 career against Romo, having a big day, 2 hits and a walk.
Well, it's not like Romo's got 3 easy outs to get here.
At Desmond after this. Couple of breaking balls. That one catches the corner on its way. And the count's even 1-1.
See, that's the slider where it's tough to pick up the rotation. We're convinced that was a fastball until the last second. You talk to hitters throughout the league, they can't see the spin on the Romo slider. We're thinking tie ball game, got the slider away.
On a ball that ends up way outside, Worth strikes out, 2 down. Final hope for the Nats, he and Desmond.
At 77 miles an hour, and you see the release point, the grip, and just a sidearm frisbee.
Desmond against Romo, 2 for 3 career with a walk. Giants have lost 3 in a row. Nats have won 5 in a row. Serious momentum shift here. Nats down to their final 2 strikes. Then he runs that fastball back to the outside corner, 0-2. That was close. Ian held up. Jeff Nelson confirms it.
They see where all these pitches are from Romo. They're all in the outer half. He's telling you as a right-handed hitter, you have to beat him the other way to the big part of the ballpark.
Buster Posey was actually sitting off the plate there. Crawford throws out Desmond, and the Giants steal one away from the Nats to salvage a game in this 3-game series. Davey Johnson's ball club was 1 strike away from getting back to the 500 mark and a 6-game winning streak, and it evaporated in 1 swing of the bat. Giants 4, Nationals 3. Still a 5-4 homestand. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Nats Extra. First of 3 in Atlanta. This has been a Masson presentation. Stay tuned now. Nats Extra postgame with Johnny Holiday and Ray Knight coming up from Nationals Park. And from the booth So long for just a while.